Okay, good morning, everybody. It's 8 o'clock. I'll call the meeting of the Metropolitan Sewerage District to order. Welcome to all of our guests. What we're going to do is Paul has to leave at 9:30, so we'll move his report up, be the first report before the executive director. We should be done before then, I would hope, but you never know. I don't want to jinx it. Cassie, could you go through the virtual? Oh, what I want to say is we have Commissioners Paulson, Murphy participating online, and everybody else is in the room except for Commissioner Bookland, who is absent. Okay, Cassie?
Good morning, Commissioners, members of the public, and staff. To help us have a smooth meeting, I'm going to review just a few decorum rules for all. While the Commission and staff are in person, we are still offering a Zoom option so members of the public can attend. If you're attending virtually and would like to speak, you can do so during appearances by the public. As a reminder, this meeting is being recorded and streamed live on YouTube, and the public chat has been disabled, but you can still send messages to the host if need be. Finally, Commissioners, please use your microphones while speaking and make sure your voice is directed towards the mic. When you are not speaking, please ensure your mic is turned off so others can utilize the mics. As a reminder, only 3 of the table mics can be live at a time. Also, please state your name before speaking for those who may be joining us via Zoom. Those are the decorum rules of the District Commission. Thank you for following them, and let's have a great meeting.
Thank you, Cassie. Any announcements? No announcements. So we'll move to Amanda, who's going to introduce Justine Bula.
Good morning, Commissioners. I am happy to welcome Justine to the communications team. She just started 2 weeks ago. Her professional, she is a communications and marketing specialist here for the district. Her professional and educational experience is centered on community outreach, education, and communications. She recently completed her master's degree in environmental conservation from the University of Wisconsin-Madison. She previously worked for Dane County Office of Energy and Climate Change and with the Sauk County Land Resources and Environment Department. She also does marketing for her family's farm. A native of Baraboo, Justine and her husband now live on the west side of Madison with their 5-month-old border collie, Lena. And when Justine is not working on house projects, she loves spending time on her family's farm, which is in the bluffs just outside of Baraboo. At the farm, she works in the gardens, helps with livestock, and helps plan the next conservation project. So join me in welcoming Justine to the district.
Thank you. Welcome, Justine. Okay, so now we go to appearances by the public. Is anybody here speak on anything, including topic A? Is the Badger Mill Creek?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, we have one person, Laura Hinklin, if you'd like to step up.
Good morning to the Commission, to the Chair, to staff. Thank you for having me. My name is Laura Hicklin. I'm Director of the Dane County Land and Water Resources Department. I wanted to be here today when I noticed that Badger Mill Creek was on the agenda. Both myself and several of my staff participated in the Badger Mill Creek stakeholder process. I've also spent the last year working closely with Eric to make sure that our agencies are aligned. I really appreciate that Eric, as your executive director, and myself believe that it's really important that our agencies collaborate on regional resource protection, and I'm grateful for that relationship and that collaboration. I want to communicate that I understand the district's decision to remove the effluent discharge from Badger Mill Creek. I know that was a difficult decision, but I also understand the framework that you're working within and the complexity and all of the factors that have to be taken into consideration. During the stakeholder process, what struck me most was learning the history on how contentious it was in the 1990s to add the discharge to the creek, and how at the time so many people in our community really felt that that addition would be the end of Badger Mill Creek. But as we all know, that ended up being a surprise success story. And therefore, I was conversely surprised when people were so upset to see that the effluent was going to be removed, because the reality is that none of us really know how these situations are going to play out. And just as there was a pleasant surprise when the discharge was added, I think there's still a lot of reasons to be hopeful that Badger Mill Creek can have a really positive future. I want to thank the district for all of the sampling and data collection that you've done as part of this process. I had my staff look at the data for the past week, data that the district recently shared and has been really great about making available throughout the process. The individuals that I reached out to on my team are people that some of you know and hopefully respect their professional opinions. John Reimer, Jeremy Belusic, Dave Rowe, James Broadseller, Kyle Minks, and I want to share with you that their collective professional opinion is that there is a lot of reason to be hopeful. They thought the data looked pretty good and that there are a lot of improvements that the district and the county could continue to collaborate on to make sure that Badger Mill Creek and the watershed continue to thrive into the future. So that's really my main message today, that there's a lot to be hopeful for. We're all working in a really complicated regulatory environment. We've lost the support that the state and federal agencies used to provide to all of us. And so I think it's fair to say that both the district and the county are learning how to work in this new environment where we've lost some of that historic support and leadership that we used to receive from our partners. And so I'm really excited to work with the district on improvements. I will be candid in saying that the county was caught off guard a little when the discharge was turned off, not the decision to turn it off, but simply that we had invested in a restoration project shortly before that decision was made, and we could have aligned better with the timing of all of the decisions. But again, I recognize that there are so many complexities and factors that go into all of these projects that it's really hard to get that right. And so I'm hopeful that both county and district staff with the commission support could continue to work together. And I ask that the commission consider allocating some resources so that the district could partner with the county on continued restoration efforts to make sure that Badger Mill Creek and the larger watershed continue to thrive into the future. So I thank you for your time. I'm going to stick around for the discussion, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else speak? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. We have the consent calendar where we have the minutes of the 12th, the cash statement operating, and we have several sewer plants. So, anybody have any questions? Seeing none? Oh, Patrick.
Thank you. Commissioner Lytle, I will note that I'll vote but abstain from the Kettle Creek North with the city of Corona.
Okay. Anybody else? Seeing none, do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
This is Commissioner Freeze. I'll move approval.
Motion by Commissioner Freeze, second
Commissioner Meyer.
Second by Commissioner Meyer. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, motion carries. That will take us to topics where we have the authorization to develop the agreement for the Capital Regional Planning Commission Partnership Framework for Badger Mill Creek Health and Resiliency. Eric?
Thank you, Commission. Eric Dundee, Executive Director. Here today to present a framework of an agreement between the district and CARPC, Capital Area Planning Commission. So just a quick background. We'll get there. Thank you. Yeah. So just want to, I will not go through this slide completely, but Amanda Wegner, Communications Public Affairs Manager, helped put this together through the timeline. We are talking about a complex project, as our guest talked about. You know, this is nearly 3 years worth of work that we've put together, and we're to the point where last week we had a meeting with the Badger Mill Creek Stakeholders Group with CARPC. I would call that a a listening session and just to talk about what our approach is. With that, we are here today to discuss how to move forward. So just a real quick recap on who the stakeholders are. I would say, I believe everybody on this list was in that room. So it's part of the Friends group. City of Madison, I do not think was there. But otherwise, Trout Unlimited, CARPC, Town, and City of Verona, Fitchburg, Dane County, of course, and then Upper Sugar River. So what we're talking about today is a framework. This is not, and I'll repeat this maybe one or two more times, this is not an authorization of any kind of money or funds. This is about a framework for the district to work with CARPC on what we had originally pledged as a district as a $1 million pot of money for health and resiliency for Badger Mill Creek. It also allows us to have CARPC administer these funds with the stakeholders group. So as the district, I would say, we'll get into this in a second, but you know, this starts to become outside of the scope of our work. You know, with the $1 million, the projects that would be done, I would say we are not the experts there. So the idea is that we would be trying to work towards some sort of agreement with CARPC that they can be the best avenue, and we'll get to that. But then also just wanted to note, as you already heard this morning, Dane County Land and Water and the DNRs in support of this approach. So let's talk about why CARPC. So for us, they're better positioned and have this as part of their mission is water quality in the area. So for us, we do too, but in this way, watersheds, groundwater, stormwater. I don't want to read the whole slide here, but knowing there could be people online or would look at this later, we wanted to spell this out. They have the expertise and the experience. They also have the ability to represent the stakeholders group interest and collaborate with them more, talk with participants, figure out how the projects will be administered, delivered, when, who, all those things. The other part I really want to key in on today is that CARPC, not the district, CARPC has the ability to better maximize the return on investment here. They have connections to be able to leverage grant funds and matching funds from different agencies that we do not usually partner with on water quality projects. So for us, specifically for myself, this is a way for us to take that $1 million that the district pledged and have the ability to stretch it, have the ability to maximize those dollars the best we can. The other part is that this does remove the district from administration and funding decisions. One of the things I think you, as a commission, have heard from me over and over for the last year is really trying to concentrate on what is our focus, what's the biggest priority for us. And in this case, this is one of those things where we can try to find a partner to help deliver something that is not necessarily in our direct focus. So with that, the ask is on the screen here today, but the commission has requested to adopt the resolution authorizing the partnership. I will also note that this is not a decision that changes anything with the ongoing litigation that is happening. It does not authorize any funds, and no decision would be made on this framework until the litigation is complete. So with that, I'll conclude my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Eric. Anybody have any questions or comments? Greg?
As Commissioner Freeze, I'm just speaking in support. I think this is a good idea. I don't think this is, not only do I not think this is what Madison Met does best, right, because they don't do this very often, and this is probably, you know, a thing that CARPC does do best, but it also kind of, there was some contention, right, as part of this decision, and I think that kind of removes us from the decision making on how those funds are spent and puts them in, you know, in a, I don't want to say maybe neutral party, but a party that has an interest in that, but not our interest. So I'm,
Anyone else? Patrick?
Yeah, Commissioner Lytle, I did want to state that, I fully support the decision to get CARPC involved. I think as a continued best practice, given the somewhat different perspectives I bring to this as a City of Rowan representative and serving on the commission, I will abstain from this vote just to avoid any potential conflict of interest.
Anyone else? Okay, Ezra?
Just, it's been said already, but I'm excited about the prospect for leveraging the dollars that we're going to contribute to this effort in many ways, hopefully. I mean, I know the county's work is already a way in which that happens, but the potential for CARPC to go for grants like DNR, surface water grants, other programs at the Department of Natural Resources where I work, and from other funding entities, means that even more good things could happen for the watershed over the time frame of implementing all of this work. So it's exciting. It's definitely a strong point in favor of this approach. So I'm 100% on board. Thanks, Eric.
Okay. Brad, you have your hand up?
Yeah, just wanted to point out a very small typo in the resolution in number 5 in the resolved clause. The word than should probably be that. And I also support the resolution and having CARPC lead the implementation of the projects. I think it's a very good idea. And I was prepared to make a motion to approve the resolution if there isn't any more discussion. So I'll make that motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Murphy to approve. Ken?
Commissioner Clark, I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Clark. Any further discussion? Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
And any opposed? No, and we'll have the record show that Commissioner Lytle abstained. Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. Okay, that will take us to, we promised Paul that he would move up first. Probably doesn't matter much, but we'll do you first, Paul. You want to do the legal and regulatory?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. And it's good seeing everybody again. I was online in part in case there were any questions with respect to that last resolution, and I'm delighted to know that that went as smoothly as it did. I know Vanessa and I had talked about it, and glad to see that move forward. In terms of regulatory review, the primary regulatory items Vanessa had featured in her last report, really the only update and good news is, as many of you may have seen, the PFAS legislation passed the Senate. And so it is now on Governor Evers' desk for signature. Now, he hasn't signed it yet, but typically, as many of you know, there's a while for signing to be scheduled. All indications are that he's going to sign it. That legislation is going to be helpful in two ways. One is it releases the $132 million for PFAS work, but equally important, I think, particularly for our biosolids program, it provides immunity to municipalities and to farmers for PFAS that gets inadvertently placed in for those entities. So it's a good news thing. I know Vanessa's going to be following up on when it's actually signed, but we're hoping that will occur soon. She should be back for the next commission meeting and fill you in more on other legal items. And unless there's any questions, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Paul. All right, anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay, thanks, Paul.
Bet.
That will take us to Eric, Executive Director, update.
Yeah, thank you. Eric Dundee, Executive Director. I have two items today. First is an announcement for the organizational structure for the district. As of last week, Eric Rare has now moved into the position of collection system manager for the district. So this was part of our organizational alignment work where we were splitting the maintenance manager position and the collection system position. I had originally talked about this last year in the budget process about making sure we clarify who the owner is of our collection system for the district. And I'm happy to announce that step has now been taken. There will be a transition period, so everybody please hold off on your emails and questions on that. But once again, just want to announce that Eric Rare has moved into that position. We are now in the process of advertising for a maintenance manager position. My second report today is the district strategic plan summary session or document that's in the packet. So in the packet today, you have 10 pages of very interesting and exciting information about the strategic plan process that we've been going through over the last few months. The goal with presenting this summary now is that you have time to review it and think about support, modifications, anything that you are interested in thinking about, because the next meeting we have in April will be a deliberation and recommendation topic on the strategic plan. So we are, after some consultation with Commissioner Hovell and Meyer, we would like to do this as somewhat a similar process as the budget. We as staff have now presented our best approach with the strategic plan, and now interested in the commission to discuss that and provide any formal actions. So that document that you see again today in the packet is preparation for the meeting in 3 weeks. And that is the end of my report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Eric. So the idea is that the first meeting in April we'll discuss it and have any recommendations on amendments. And then the following meeting, it will be acted on. Now, one thing to make clear is that if there's a major amendment such as addition of another KPI or what are those called? Performance areas, sorry. If there's another performance area to be added, that takes 3 to 4 months. So, but what we want to do is we want to have this in effect in July, because we want to have the employees all getting their goals aligned to the strategic plan. So what we would do is, if the commission approves the idea of another performance area with its KPIs, because it takes so long to go through and vet, we would put that as one of Eric's goals and then amend the document strategic plan later. Okay? So bear that in mind. It's not that we're wanting to stuff it aside, but we do want to get the document moving so that the employees can start thinking about and aligning what they view as their appropriate goals. Get everybody aligned onto the same page. I quite frankly think this was one of the problems that we've had over the past several years, is alignment of district resources, proper channel that's been authorized by the commission. Okay? So, I think that takes care of that. Ezra, anything on the performance subcommittee?
No update. We haven't met since last time I mentioned where we were at here to this group, so we're continuing to wait for the final recommendations from MGT, our consultant. And after we look those over at the committee level, we'll bring it back to the whole commission. We're hoping this spring yet. More to come soon.
Okay. And Greg, anything on finance?
We have not met since the last commission meeting.
Yeah, so you meet in a couple weeks, I think, right? Yep. Okay. So that takes care of committee reports. Operations report. There's Alan. I didn't see him behind Eric, and with the sun shining right clear of the hard glass.
Camouflaged. Good morning, Commissioner Hovell, commissioners, audience. I'm here to present the operations report for be presenting the February metrics. So Pretty good, a good report, fairly, no real surprises or anything I would really, call out as anything out of the ordinary. We've got, suspended solids numbers are 4.1, right in the middle of kind of that historical three-year single standard deviation range, pretty typical for this time of year. Ammonia levels 0.26, again, kind of right in that normal range. CBOD at 3.2 milligrams per liter, right in the expected range. Phosphorus also looks like it's in the center of the range. Again, recalling back last fall where we talked about our permit is actually the way we're set up with that. It's a 0.6 milligram per liter on a 6-month average. So this 0.26 represents the 6-month average for this particular period, so November 2025 through present. So our actually monthly performance, I believe, was 0.22. So we're actually pulling that number back towards the center with our monthly performance, if you were looking at the monthly data. And if you look into the commission packet with the detailed data, that's reflected there. So if you do happen to pick up a discrepancy in that, that's the difference there, the explanation for why those numbers won't precisely match. And then the chloride numbers, 395, a little higher than our 3-year average, but I would say it's fairly typical for this time of year. We start to get that, runoff. Winter's coming to an end. We're starting to see some of those chlorides and the road salts come into the system. So pretty much right where we'd expect to see it. I don't have anything else to really comment or add. Don't know if there's any questions.
Ezra's got a question.
One quick one, Alan. Thanks for the report. Is that a 3-year average for February or a 3-year average, 36 months for chloride? I'm thinking specific.
Yeah, the question, the 3-year average for February for the parameter for annual, and it's 36 months. So it's 3 years of that. That's our historical number for the 3-year period.
I'm guessing the February band would be higher and closer to centering around where the needle is for this February, right?
Correct. And, it's one of those where I think sometimes it's like, how do you display the data? We kind of talked about it. It's like, how do we present a very complex permit in a stripped down form that is easily digestible and shows the important highlights? There, other ways of displaying that might be a line graph with 3 different, you'd be able to see how that compares to previous months, things like that. Those get more complicated to produce and harder to display and explain sometimes. That'd be maybe something we'd use if we were wanting to focus in on a specific parameter. So we could look to make those changes to make it easier to see, but those do would demand more time to prepare them and also to walk through those. But
I don't think it needs changing. I as I'm sure you are, watching what happens with our WIPD's permit renewal and where the numbers land on chloride, because it's a tough one, but yeah, so thanks for that.
I just wanted to follow up on Ezra's thing. So do you know, Alan, this number at 395, would that meet, because in our new draft permit that is not final yet, would this be within that? Because I know the proposed level is being dropped. So I don't know if you know what that new number is. I'm just wondering if this would be within it. And clearly this is a result of, we had 2 snowstorms in this period, and they were both, especially that last one, resulted, even though it was an incredibly small amount of snow, it resulted in a lot of salt use because of the conditions. So.
Yeah, we haven't gotten the final permit yet. I know that there were some public comments on and looking at where we'd like to see that with DNR and some back and forth and a couple different potential options. So I believe this would actually be under all of the options that we were looking at or presenting with, but please don't quote me on that. I can confirm that if you'd like me to get back to you on that, or we are kind of on the verge of expecting that permit to drop any time, perhaps in the next week or so. So maybe it'll give you a much more definitive answer on where that would fall down at. Right, thank you.
Well, I have the same question as Greg. So if you could get when you have time, or maybe if the permit's expected at the next meeting, we have the permit, you can give the update on that. Yeah. I was going to ask that same question.
And we
Right.
don't know that that's gonna drop in that period, but I think our
No, I realize.
target period is April first, so
Right.
that's,
That was another question I had. Do they have a time limit in which they have to act on the permit, or is it pretty much open-ended?
my understanding it is open-ended, that they can let that, you know, it can go. We are running right now on a permit that has expired, so our current, you know, our existing permit stays in force until superseded, so.
Yeah.
That could be, I know that there's a desire at DNR to try and consolidate align those timings for watersheds and when permits expire, that sort of thing. So I think they'd really like to get us to it on that schedule, so I really, if I was, I'm not a betting person, but I would guess we'll see that in the next week, but.
Okay, Greg?
Yeah, I just had one thing. When that permit gets issued, if there is a reduction in our chloride limit, one of the things that might be interesting is a discussion at some point after Marty and his staff have a chance to figure out what that means to us, right? Because things being equal, we don't control this parameter, really, right? Or we as in the district. So it would require external controls, or craziness at the plant in terms of reverse osmosis or some other technology, right, to drop that level. So my presumption would be our approach would be reduction at the source rather than reduction at the collection. So it'd be interesting to see from Marty's perspective, what the approach might be. But that doesn't need to happen, obviously right away, so.
Eric is coaching me to say that we'll have a general topic on the permit when it comes out. So probably, the amount of interest, I think that's, and it probably makes a lot of sense to update the commission as far as what changes, we are not seeing. But you're right. It's far more effective to do that outside the bricks and mortar of the treatment plant. Our ecosystems department and pollution prevention team specifically has done a lot of work trying to get the word out there, and I think they've gotten a lot of traction on that. It's been remarkable what they've been able to do, but as you point out, we can't really control it. So we'll have to see how that lands, and if we can get more traction in the public to reduce that. Or I don't think so. I should have gone to that slide, but all right. Thank you very much.
Okay, that'll take us to the future meeting schedule, which is in the packet. As always, if you're going to be absent, or even if you're going to be doing virtually, we'd like to know that. So let Cassie know. Any future agenda topics? Other business? Ken?
Commissioner Clark, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner Clark to adjourn, second by?
Commissioner Freeze, second.
Second by Commissioner Freeze. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy your day.